Correct? So who would like to speak first?
Come on, David.
Okay. Chabbott.
Okay. Would anybody like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll start. So thank you, Rabbi, first for coming and
Thank you.
helping organize this.
Sorry.
Danny's idea. This was the wishes of Mom. She wanted us to make prayer in her home and to give her all the respect and all the Chabbott that she needed for her to get up to heaven. So maybe this is hopefully this is the push we give her to get up there faster. Everybody knows how great she was. There's nothing that I have to tell anybody new. Even to the great-grandchildren and to the people that the son-in-laws that married into the family, she loved them all. And she was on top of everybody. She knew everything what was going on, and she wanted to be involved. And like the rabbi said, she always told you, keep your head straight, don't go over your means. Just be a regular person, enjoy life, and be an honest and correct person. We stood by her as long as she could. She went through difficult times, losing 2 sons. And it was a very difficult time for her. She really, really tried hard to keep it going, but eventually it got there. Eventually the loss of her sons was probably the start of the end for grandma. But she continued. She lived another 6 years, so she put up a good fight. Even until the end, she put up a good fight. She kept on going, and then I think she just slipped maybe the past 6 months or something, but she was always there for us. And I remember I spent since my brothers passed away, I spent mostly every week with her, and I took her to restaurants. I took her downstairs, we ate, we talked. She walked on our walker. She was perfect. COVID came, and that's when I couldn't see her. And I think that was probably, that pushed her along even further. But she lived a great life. She had great children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. And she loved everybody, all her sons. She loved her daughter. She had great brothers and sisters. The Sophie family was a great family. She respected them all. They all respected her. They honored her. She loved the Chabbott family. She was very, very close with them. And she had friends all over. Everybody. I mean, I got messages and text messages from people that are 75, 80 years old, knowing that they know my mother. And she was very respected. She's, I would say she's a legend and an icon in the community. She'll be known, forever for a long time. And I just hopefully she'll get up and be able to see Grandpa, her husband, and her 2 sons. And they'll be greeting her at the gate about it.
Amen.
Amen.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Okay. I was preparing for months now.
Over there.
What could I say about Mom that everybody doesn't know? She was the daughter of Abraham and Sarah, and she lived a life that way. She was a good person. She took care of her parents. She loved her father. They told me, Uncle Irving told me last week that she was Grandpa's favorite, Grandpa Sackey's favorite. And she took care of her parents like they were royalty. She always took care of them. And when Dad got sick, when he was young, he got sick. And all through the years, she took care of him. I spoke to Dr. Madelon last week. He asked me, how come your mother always brought your father? She was always with him, always at his side, always took care of him. He was her life, and she acted that way. Once he left, she was lonely. She always wanted to get married, and She didn't find the right guy, we didn't find her. But she loved the kids. But most of all, she loved the grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren more than she loved us. There's no question about it. She doted on them. And the Safdies, number one to her. She wouldn't do anything without the Safdies. It was very, very special. We're going to miss her very much. She was fun. She was a lot of fun. Atlantic City, at the bar, wherever it was. She was always fun, always happy. And maybe she'd be upstairs with Grandpa and the boys for sure. They're waiting there to greet her. They greeted her already for sure. Thank you, Mom, for everything. We miss you. You took good care of us. And just thank you. Thank you, guys. Yes, it is.
You're in this spot.
I'd like to read something about my grandmother, Granny, from my mother, Joyce Bailey Chabbott. And she starts, after 101 years of living, it's hard to know where to start. Wife, mom, mother-in-law, granny, great-grandma, auntie, sister, and friend are just some of the hats that she wore. It's certainly not an easy task to balance those hats. But she did, in her own way. One very special memory she related to me was a monetary costly one, but it proved that beyond any doubt how utterly important it was to hear to her and her husband, Julius. They were living and raising their family in Washington. Julius was doing extremely well, but as their children were getting older, they decided to pack it all up and move the family to Brooklyn so their children could be part of an illustrious Sephardic community and to make sure that they all married within the Jewish faith. Business didn't go very well for him here, but he did achieve what they wanted. All her children married within the community and share in all beautiful Sephardic heritage. As speaking as her daughter-in-law, I can vividly remember her wonderful Friday afternoon mazza parties that she lovingly provided. It was her way of getting all her children and grandchildren together to share their news of the previous week. I can still taste her kibbeh, and for the life of me, I cannot duplicate her potato salad. She was well known for her mazza from Brooklyn to Aruba. She lived a life that was filled with happiness, heartbreak, challenges, victories, but most of all, she lived well. Sophie Chabbott, Granny, farewell, you will be missed. Anyone else?
Just to say a few words. Sometimes a person has an unbelievable father or mother, and they assume everybody has the same situation. Everybody has that quality as well. But when you live with someone that has various very special qualities, as you get older, you begin to see it doesn't exist all over. And in this situation, Simcha Bat Sarah had unbelievable qualities that we find in the Eshet Hayil. Shlomo HaMelech says that even though women have qualities, but to have a lot of qualities is very, very rare. And he goes on to say how sometimes a woman marries a man, but her heart's not with him. She marries because she needs financial support. There's no love between them. There's no strong connection. And in this situation, she was married to a man where she was totally dedicated. As the Pasuk says in Eshet Hayil, Batach Ba Le Ba'ala. Her husband could rely, excuse me, her husband was able to rely on her at all situations, at all times. And this is an unbelievable level where, as we just mentioned before, sometimes the financial situation was very, very difficult. And with his financial situation, she was behind him, and he was able to depend on her to bring up the family. And unfortunately, some people don't have that situation. You have a wife that nags and complains and never happy, and the husband doesn't want to come home. There's unfortunately people in that situation. But Baruch Hashem, in this situation, it was an unbelievable union. It was a marriage where they wanted to be together at all times. Not only that, but she was a worker, and she was a person who knew how to give respect. I was speaking to David yesterday, and he was telling me how people who come to the house, she would put together all the fancy pastries and all the fancy foods and show respect for a guest. This is something that we have in the old country. Unfortunately, in America, it doesn't exist that much. People have somebody over today, they don't bring out anything, and even when the person leaves, they just maybe wave to them goodbye. But the old generation, when they had a guest, they treat them like royalty. They walk into the door, and they make sure that they're comfortable, and they bring out everything. And even if they don't eat, they just make sure that the table is full. Unbelievable. This is something that didn't happen once, didn't happen twice, but that was her life, that was her essence, and that was the way she conducted herself throughout the years. Now, our rabbis tell us that sometimes when a person has a difficulty in life, they stop showing that social grace. And they have a negative attitude where, I don't have to make anybody happy. I don't have a good situation. I don't have an easy situation. And basically, they look at themselves with self-pity, and they lose that ability to make people happy and to make people feel comfortable. And this is an unbelievable level, where a person goes out of his own self and he looks at other people and he looks at what he can do. Doesn't start comparing what does she have, what does he have, and to basically put themselves with self-pity where I don't have to do anything for anybody because everybody has more than me. So this is a very, very big quality. Abraham Avinu, he had this even on the third day of the Berit Milah, where it's very, very painful for a person that age to have a Berit Milah, and the third day is the most difficult day. And yet he went to greet the guests, and it was his happiness to be able to share what he had with other people. So this is a very, very big quality. In America, you don't find it so much anymore. And, the old country, they, person would come to their parent, Shabbat after Ardus, to kiss the hand of the father, kiss the hand of the mother. So these are the traditions that are handed over. And Baruch Hashem, she was able to bring those traditions into the family, to respect Torah, respect religion, respect family, respect people, and to show an awareness for somebody else. David was telling me that she was able to communicate with all ages, old people, young people, 10 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. So to be able to do that is a very, very big thing. Sometimes you have people that get older, they can't tolerate noise, they can't tolerate children running around, they can't tolerate anything. And over here, she was able to communicate and to have toleration. Unbelievable. So this is an unbelievable thing. It's not so simple to find. Another quality our rabbis tell us, that when she spoke with wisdom. It wasn't just empty talk. It wasn't talk about people. What did this one do and this one say, and so on and so forth. If she saw something that was not correct, she would go out of her way to make sure that it was corrected. Why? Because she felt for the other person. She wanted the other person not to continue living in a certain way, which would bring to them shame or embarrassment or a bad quality of life. So she had concern for other people, and she was careful with her words. Torah chesed means that she spoke in a soft way to make a person feel comfortable, to make a person feel good. So when people age, when people get older, especially at this age, over 101, most people, they lose their patience, and they have no patience for anything or anybody. They basically have a very, very low level of tolerance. And over here, she would bring out the kippah on every single week, and children and grandchildren would come, and she didn't have this attitude, well, I'm old, and let them serve me. I have to serve them at this point in life. But that's what the Gemara says, that a mother has feelings for children even at an old age. In the animal world, you have lions, they have babies, they protect their young, they're very, very close. But as the males get older, what do? They chase them away. Haja, that's it, go. And if they don't go away, they get attacked. By who? By the parents. That's an animal. But a human being, they have feelings for their children. Even when a person is 7 years old, his mother can still worry about him. Imagine, he's 7 years old. He's old enough to be a grandfather. He's old enough to be what people were able to live only to 70 in the 60s. People didn't live that long, right? So for a mother to worry about her son and to be concerned when they reach such an age is an unbelievable level of love and dedication, where they might have something she doesn't have. They might be married, they might have a house, they might have money, they might have things that she doesn't possess, but our rabbis tell us it's an unbelievable thing. People, God forbid, can be jealous of other people, but a father and a mother are not jealous of their children. If their children surpass them, it's their happiness that they have more than I have. And there's people like that who lived a very, very hard life, and Baruch Hashem, the children, they had tremendous success and financial success, and they have a life that the parents never had in their life, but it didn't make them feel bad that the children should have more than the parents. But that's because there's love. And when there's love, there's no jealousy. And when there's no jealousy, so it brings a person to want to do for the other person, even when the other person has more. And that's why we say, Birkat Kohanim, rabbis tell us that a true Kohen is able to wish good for somebody else, even if that somebody has more than him. And that's why the blessing right before Birkat Kohanim, the Kohen says, Asher Kedeshanu v'Mitzvotav v'Sivan le'barech et Amo Yisrael, to bless the Jewish people be'ahava, with love. Meaning that he wants the other person to have, even though he doesn't have. His children didn't get married, and he wants his friends' children to be married, even before his own children. This is not a contradiction. That you don't have and he needs it, pray for him, wish him good, be happy for his good things. And that's the unbelievable quality that a mother has for children. But there are mothers and there's mothers. There's mothers that basically focus on themselves, and they leave the kids with the chadana, and they don't spend time with them, and they're disconnected totally. And the kid is basically growing up with the chadana. That's who he knows. And this woman was not like that. This woman was connected to children 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, calling them, finding out how they're feeling, what they're doing. It's an unbelievable thing. That means that her loyalty was to the family to such a point where there was nothing that superseded the family. Her priority was her family, and that's an unbelievable thing. Today, in America, the lifestyle that people have is not like that anymore. No, they're old enough to do what they need to do. I'm not going to worry about them anymore. Torah teaches us the opposite. A parent is supposed to worry about their children to the last day, because at the end, they can help the children where the children cannot help themselves. And when there is love, when there's interest, it's going to take place. Oh, this is something that's remarkable for a woman at such an age to be able to do all this. Is amazing. And there's people, they hit 60, 70, they're losing their memory, they're losing their ability, their skills, they're losing everything. And here she had the skills of very, very long life, unbelievable. And this is what keeps a person young. Rabbis tell us that when you have a person who worries and thinks about other people, then their mind is active, and then their body is active, and they have a purpose for living. But when a person disconnects from everybody, then the whole body falls apart. And this is where, at the end, Shlomo HaMelech says, "Noda b'sha'arim ba'ala b'shivto m'ziknei aretz," that the good wife not only is showing loyalty to her family, but she brings up the family name, which means she brings respect. You know, in the old country, they used to say, Bet Min, which family is it? They would say, whose house is it? Meaning, which woman is running the house. And the woman in Arabic, they say have a safir. Safir means they have a way of doing things, and they have a way for engagement, they have a way for the Shabbat, a way for a holiday. It's a simple system that a lot of people don't know even how to come about it. Where because they brought up with it, and they brought up that for a holiday you gotta prepare, you gotta make it beautiful, and you don't have this American attitude. Oh, holiday's coming, I don't need this headache. So today, what do you see the new generation? The kids, they're buying everything ready-made for Shabbat right before Shabbat from the store. They're not cooking anything, they're not preparing anything. The old generation, that was their happiness, that was their pride, to do the things themselves because they took pride in what they did. And today, they have no idea. And what is it supposed to taste like? You buy it commercially, you buy it. How long is it sitting in the refrigerator? How long is it sitting in the freezer? You don't know. They go out their way to make it fresh. And if you remember the old days, when people had an engagement, all the women would get together in the house and then they prepare for the engagement, and they would sit 3-4 days and fill up the freezer. They didn't have what we have today. You just buy it ready-made. It's a different system altogether. But this was their happiness, where they can present their own things that they made. And this is where the family has a legacy to look back to, and to use her as a role model and to remember. And it's important to talk about her to your children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Let them know what it was like to be living with her and what kind of life she led. And this is a beautiful thing to have someone that's going to be a role model. Today, you don't have these qualities, and they have to be appreciated. And that's what we're saying, that when you grow up with these qualities and you have such a mother and you have such a grandmother, don't assume that everybody has the same. You got to see what's out there today. You got to see the quality of life to appreciate what you have. And B'ezrat Hashem, she should go to heaven and pray for the family, pray for the success of the family. And she should be able to join her husband and all her parents, her uncles, her aunts, and there's no question that she will be greeted with respect and honor because of the life she led. Unfortunately, there's some people, when they leave this world, the members of the family in the Shemaim, they're embarrassed to greet them in, to take them in. What kind of life did she lead? What kind of things did she do? Over here, it's with royalty. It's with unbelievable levels of holiness, and this is where you have something that you can look up to, where she is representing the family, and she is going to come into the upper world, in the heavens, with Chabbott and respect. And they're going to say, open up the way, let this beautiful woman come in, and people will stand up for her, for the life she led. It's not easy for a woman to live by herself. It's not easy to support the family. And she did that. She supported the family. When her husband passed away, she took the responsibility to pay all the bills, to take care of everything, and she never complained. This is an unbelievable thing. Today, there's people that have so much, and all they do is complain. And here you have a person, an individual, who had a struggle in life, but never complained, only looked at the positive, only looked at the good, and gave people a sense of security, a sense of hope, a sense of wanting to move forward. And if you look at her, you have the strength, you have the energy to do what you're supposed to do. And this is something that, you see some people and you see they're miserable and this and that, you walk away from them, you have no motivation to do anything. You're scared to come in and to hear all the complaints. But, she was able to basically have people come to her and they felt good and they were able to walk out as a different person. So B'ezrat Hashem, these are unbelievable merits, and this is a pride for the family, and God willing, the family should only see happiness from this point on. And B'ezrat Hashem, she will be there spiritually with her husband and her parents at all the happy occasions, on the weddings, the Brit Milah. Even though physically she's not there, but spiritually, she comes down to all the happy occasions. And the person has to know that. And For this reason, our rabbis tell us we have to keep them in mind when we have happy occasions, to think about them and to think about what they did for us and how they are participating with us at all the happy occasions. B'ezrat Hashem, this house should be a house of happiness and berakah, and should be a house of success. And her good deeds should bring a merit upon her family and the whole Jewish congregation. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to say now a hashkava. We're going to stand up, please. We're going to start a prayer in her memory to elevate her soul. Speak to Adonai, v'Hashem mishpatecha, speak to Kudarecha, machzir kol ma'asav, zkat chasedik le'olam, torat ha'emet, te'amu emet, sa'ad le'koy hadav sh'levan le'ok shalom, ומי יאמר לו מה תעשה ובחר שבנו ונפשו את אביעס כתום לבדו שלום והם חושב אדוניו הם בעברים לא ימין מלאכה ישים את העולם אף כי אינו שמה בין אדם תורה אסור תאמין בעולם כל דרך המלך משפט אין אמונה ואין עוול צדיק וישר הוא עניין האמת שצדק באמת ודן האמת כי כל משפט צדק באמת אשכם נמצא ורחוק במקרם המרחם וידבו יחוס ויחמול וירחם נפש רוח נשמת שמחה בצרה רוח אדוני תנחנה בגן עדן היא בכל בנות ישראל שוך ויאמר ברחמים עושה לך בחני רצון ונאמר אמן אלה המוות והנצח ומחה אדוני אלוהים דמם על כל פנים ודמו יסיר מעל כל הארץ כי אדוני דיבר יום מתיך נבלתי כמון הכיסו ולנו שוכני עפר תלולות תלכם ארץ תפעים תפיל והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, ובא להשאיר לכל רחמתו, מה יושיע המלך יעננו ביום קורא נתנו חמו מן השמיים. We should be consoled and comforted from the heavens. Amen. So everybody please recite Berachot in her memory. So each Berachah will bring a food for her in heaven. Amen. Only good things. You can't wait a lollipop.
Good. Not you.